Rachel Wolf here with Club Pilates. Today we are doing another Yogalates class, but this time focusing on working the hips and opening the hips. So we're going to start in mermaid position, taking that right leg in front of you and the left leg behind you. If you're not able to sit in this position, you can modify with your back leg straight. And we're just placing that left hand onto the left hip. You can place the right hand to the outside of the thigh. We're just going to roll the hip forwards and then sit back down on the hip. So we're just working into that internal rotation on the left hip. Just warming the hip up to sit in this position. A lot of us are really tight in internal rotation, so this just allows the hip to ease into this position. So as you roll forward, you're lifting the left hip up off of the mat, and then we're pressing that left hip back down into the mat. If you're really tight and your hip's not fully seated on the mat, that's okay. As long as there's no pain in your knee, then you're good. If you feel any pain in the knee, just go ahead and straighten that leg into a modification. Good. And then we press down into that hip, holding here, taking those arms out into a T. Placing that left hand down to the outside of the shin, sweeping that right arm up and overhead, and we're going to reverse. Inhale, exhale, other side. Inhale in through the nose, exhale out through the mouth, other side. Inhale in through the nose, exhale out through the mouth. Inhale in through the nose, exhale out through the mouth. Inhaling and exhaling. And coming back to center. And taking those arms out in front of you, like you're wrapping your arms around a tree, we rotate to the right, center, left, center, rotate right, center, left, center. Lengthen out of the top of the head, twisting from the waist. Getting really tall and really long in the body. And last one, each side. Pressing that right hand down onto the mat, sweep that left arm up and overhead. Press the hips forwards, lengthening that top arm up and overhead. Deep breaths here. Down, we change sides. So bringing that right knee back behind you, left knee in front of you, placing the right hand onto the hip, we roll it forwards and sitting down into that hip. Working that hip deeper into that internal rotation. Deepening the breath, inhaling in through the nose, exhaling out through the mouth. Remember, if this bothers your knee, you can go ahead and straighten that right leg out on the floor. And last two. And last one. Have a seat into that hip. Take those arms out into a T, and we sweep up and over. And exhaling to the other side. Inhale, sweeping up and over. Exhale to the other side. Deep breaths. Try to keep those hips grounded as you come into your side bends. Last one. And And coming back to center, bring those arms in front of you. We twist to the left, center, right. It's like you're wrapping your arms around a giant tree. Lengthen out of the top of the head, keeping the sides of the body long. Sides of the waist stay lengthening. And last one, each side. Coming back to center, placing that left hand on the floor. Sweep the right arm up and over as you lift the hips. Feeling that nice stretch in the hips and the side body. Deep breaths. And slowly coming back down. Bring the soles of the feet together, coming into a butterfly, but we want to create more of a diamond shape. So those feet are away from the hips, not scrunched up close to the hips. Taking those arms into goalpost or cactus, we rotate to the right. And you're going to side bend as you drop the elbow down towards the floor in between those legs. Lift up on that angle, center. We twist to the left, lower it down into that side bend, and center, twist, lift, and center. Good, so we're working on opening up those hamstrings and inner thighs. Hamstrings from a different angle here. And also stretching into the side waist, those QL muscles. And those muscles that run along your spine, your erector muscles. And last one, each side. And coming back to center. All right, I'm gonna turn this way, but we're gonna keep that same shape. Soles of the feet together, lifting the heels up, reach those arms in front of you. We C-curve, roll the spine down one bone at a time. Circle those arms around and exhale, we lift. Try to keep the heels lifted, just grounding down into little pinky fingers. And drop the heels. Reach those arms forwards, feel that deep stretch in the hamstrings and hips, and then slowly sit up tall. We lift the heels up again, keep the pinky toes planted. C-curve, roll down one bone at a time. Circle those arms around. Exhale, C-curve, roll up. Plant the heels, elongate forwards. Long spine and stacking the bones to sit up tall. Lift the heels, C-curve round, roll it down one bone at a time. And exhale, we curl it up. Drop the heels, reach forwards, and stacking the bones. C-curve, roll down one bone at a time. Reach those arms up and overhead, circle around. Exhale, C-curve it up. Drop the heels, lengthen forwards, long spine. And again, stacking the bones, lift the heels. Roll down one bone at a time. Circle those arms around. And exhale, we C-curve, lift. Drop the heels, reach it forwards. And C-curving the spine. Roll down one bone at a time. Lower down just halfway and hold. You're gonna lift that right leg up and we're holding that external rotation on the legs. Keeping the knees bent so we're staying in the same shape. Try to keep those heels lifted. So we're using those lower abs to lift the legs up. Keep reaching those fingers forwards, deepening the breath. The legs in this shape allows us to relax our hip flexors and work a little deeper through the lower abs. Good, and last two each side. One more each side. And we pulse it up an inch, down an inch. Keep those heels lifted. Up an inch, down an inch. Last 4, 3, 2. Hold it here. We twist to the right, center. Twist to the left, center. Right, center, left, center. Twist from the waist. Ribs twisting on top of pelvis. Breathe. Last two each side. One more each side. Back to center, come all the way up. Bring those feet in closer this time. Holding on to the outer edges of the feet, lift up tall. And folding over those legs, you can reach the arms out in front of you. Drop the head and breathe, long spine. Inhaling in through the nose. Exhaling out through the mouth. And we slowly come all the way up to seated. Bringing those legs together, we come down onto our backs. Setting up for our bridge. Hands down alongside the hips. We're going to bring those feet parallel, a little wider than hips distance apart. See curving the spine, drawing the tailbone to the pubic bone as we peel the spine off the mat one bone at a time, tailbone lengthening to the backs of the knees. Slow roll down. Inhale, curl up, one vertebra at a time. Exhale, slow curl down. Inhale, curl up, one vertebra at a time. And slow curl down. Inhale, C curve the spine, roll up one bone at a time. Slow curl down. Inhale, articulate up. And slow C curve down. Inhale, curl up. And roll it down. And inhale, we curl it up. Hold it here. Lengthening the tailbone to the backs of the knees. Roll onto the outer edges of the feet. Plant the feet. Roll onto the outer edges of the feet. Planting the feet. Squeezing the glutes. Keeping those hips lifted. Upper abs are engaged by drawing those ribs down into the back body. Last 4, 3, 2, and 1. And we open those legs, hold it here. Drop the hips down halfway, squeeze up to the top. Drop down halfway, squeeze up to the top. Good, feeling those outer hips engaged. Last 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Flatten those feet. Drop the hips down halfway, squeeze up to the top. Last 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Roll it down one bone at a time. Drawing those knees into the chest, hands onto the knees, and we create circles with bent knees. Keeping the hips planted heavy into the mat. Exhale the legs to the top. Inhale around. And reverse direction. Try to keep the pelvis as still as possible. Last 3, 2, and 1. Now we come into happy baby pose. So you're grabbing the backs of your thighs, especially if you're tight in your lower back. You're going to stay here. We want the hips to stay down. If you're a little bit more open, you can grab the feet. If you grab the feet and the butt lifts up, just grab the backs of your thighs. We want to keep the pelvis grounded. As you draw the knees to the armpits, press the feet up towards the ceiling and little rock side to side, massaging the lower back. Deep breaths. And we come back to center. Now if you're holding the backs of your thighs, you're going to straighten one leg, bend, and straighten the other, alternating. And if you're holding your feet, you're doing the same. It's just a deeper stretch. So it depends on how open you are or how tight you are in your hamstrings and your hips. Keeping that pelvis grounded. Deep breaths. Now see if you can straighten both legs, holding it there. Inhaling in through the nose, exhaling out through the mouth. And we bring those legs a little closer together, grabbing the backs of the calves or still holding onto those hamstrings. We go into our rolling like a ball with straight legs, or we call this the open leg rocker. Pointing the toes. Use the abs to pause at the top. Challenging your balance. Seeing how long you can hold it. Deep breaths. And we hold another 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and bending those knees. Please slowly stretch those legs out. Flexing your feet. Arms T, we twist right, reach 1, 2, past that right little toe, center left, reach 1, 2, lift, center to the right, 1, 2, lift, center left, 1, 2, lift, center right, 1, 2, lift, center to the left, 1, 2, lift, center to the right, 1, 2, lift, center, last one left, 1, 2, lift, and center. All right, we bring those legs back together and we're lying down on our right side, propping up onto the forearm. And we're going to take that top arm, reach it up towards the ceiling so we stay lifted. We don't want to collapse the waist into the floor. We want to lift up away from the floor. And we're going to extend that top leg out So those knees are stacking. Point the toes, lift and lower. Lift and lower. Keep reaching up nice and tall. Now we go into that flexed foot. Stay lifted out of the waist. Deep breaths. And we hold it here. Point the toes again. You're going to kick in front of the leg and then sweep it back behind your bottom foot. Up and over, up and over. Imagine there's a pole or a rod running from the top of the hip down into the bottom hip, keeping those hips stacked. Up and over, up and over. Deepening the breath. And last one. All right. We're going to lie all the way down. We want everything stacked. Feet, knees, hips, shoulders stacked, but we're going to prop our head with the bottom hand. Both legs are lifting up, and we're just going to do little kicks, switching the legs. That top hand can hold you in place here on the floor. We don't want to move the pelvis. We're still keeping that top hip stacked right over the bottom hip. Deep breaths. Point those toes. These don't have to be very big to be effective. We want alignment first, and then range of motion comes second. It's not important how far you go. It's important to align the body properly. Last 3, 2, and 1. And release it down. Now we change sides. Propping up onto your left forearm, stacking those knees. Reach that top arm up. Point the toes, knees are stacked. We lift and lower with that top leg. Now flexing that foot, continuing. Stay lifted in that waist, pull those ribs in, hips stay stacked. Point the toes again, taking it in front of the bottom knee, up and over, behind the foot. Now your range of motion doesn't have to be as big as mine, especially if your hips are rocking. We want to keep the stack of the hips. Most important thing and our priority is our alignment. Stacking the bones in proper alignment. And then secondly, how far can you move, or what is your range of motion within that alignment? Deep breaths. And last one. And we're stacking everything up. Ankles, knees, hips. Propping down onto that bottom hand. We lift both legs up. And we're scissor kicking those legs, but keeping the hips stacked. So your obliques have to work to hold the legs up in this position. So you should feel the sides of the waist cinching in. Pull those ribs in. Deep breaths. Feel those lower abs zipping up like a zipper, drawing up towards the rib cage. Keep pointing those toes. Last 4, 3, 2, and 1. And we're going to flip over onto the belly. Stretching those arms out in front of you. We lift the arms and legs. Circle the arms around, bend the knees, lift a little higher, and stretch it forward. Circle around, lift, back of the neck stays long. squeeze the glutes to lift the legs up a little higher. Last 4, 3, 2, and 1. Hold it here. Lift the chest up a little higher, drop it down. Lift the chest up a little higher, drop it down. Lift the chest up a little higher, drop it down. Note how my feet are squeezed together, but my knees are separated. So we have a little external rotation. Last 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bring your thumbs in alignment with your chest. Take your knees as wide as the mat, but this time our heels are going to squeeze together. Toes are separated. We're in our Pilates V shape. Pull those elbows in. Little lift of your chest. Now you're just going to lift the knees up off of the mat a tiny bit. Squeezing those heels together. Frontal hip points stay pressed into the mat. So you should feel this in your glutes. Your lower back is your stabilizing muscles, so you're going to feel it there too. But we want to initiate this movement from the glutes. So feel the glutes squeezing to the hamstrings to lift the legs. Last 4, 3, 2, and 1. Releasing those legs, pressing up onto hands and knees. We move into our cow and cat. Inhale, lengthen the chest forwards, cow tilt. Exhale, rounding cat's back. Inhale, lengthen forwards. Exhale, round. Deep breaths. Lengthening from top of the head to tail and pressing those shoulder blades wide. Last 2 rounds. And last 1. And coming back to center. We're stepping that right foot forwards. And you want the knee tracking over the heel, and your back leg can be back on a diagonal. Now this one you can do with weights in your hands. I don't have any weights today, but you're taking your arms out into a T. Rotate your thumbs up to the ceiling. We're leaning over that thigh, and you're just going to lift the arms up and down. So we're moving from the backs of the shoulders. I want you to focus on those rear deltoids, lifting the arms, strengthening the backs of the shoulders, little pulses. Last 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Take those arms behind the back, bring them back to the side. Behind the back, back to the side. As you take them behind the back, I want you to feel that squeeze of the triceps, like you're pushing your palms into a beach ball. Keep those lower abs zipped up so we're not sinking down into the low back. So this is to mimic your long box series, pulling straps in that prone position. Feel those triceps active by squeezing the backs of the arms. Remembering, we're pushing into that beach ball to feel those triceps active. Last 2. Last 1. Hold it here. Now interlace those fingers. Roll the shoulders back. If you can't do this move, you can hold a belt or a strap. Slowly, we're peeling the chest off of that top thigh. And breathing here. Keep rolling those shoulders back. Getting that nice shoulder opener. If you want to go a little deeper into the hip stretch, you can inch that right foot forwards. You just don't want your right knee to go past your toes. Letting those hips sink, but still being mindful of pulling the lower abs up. Now we release the clasp of the hands. Take the right hand to the floor, to the right side. Sweep that left arm up and overhead. Deep breaths. And we come back to center. Now we're going to make sure that right knee is directly over the heel. Hands down to the outside of that right foot. We're pressing into the toenails to lift the back knee up off of the floor. And this is going to give us a nice deep stretch in that left hip. The front of the left hip stretching into those left hip flexor muscles. Especially if you've been sitting a lot at your desk, this is a great stretch. Keeping the back of the neck long, deep breaths. And we release that knee down. Now we're going to walk the right foot over to the left side, drawing the knee out. We're in a pigeon stretch. If you have a yoga block or a pillow, you can prop it underneath your right hip to get your hips a little bit more even. And if you need to grab any props, you can always just pause the video. And we're lengthening forwards here, keeping the spine long, deep breaths. And if you want to go a little deeper, you can straighten those arms to drop down a little lower. And slowly bringing yourself back. And we're going to take it back onto hands and knees. And we go to the other side. Step the left foot forwards. So the left knee is over the heel, stretching back through that right knee. We're leaning over that left thigh. Take those arms out into a T. Little pulses here. You can grab your weights if you did that on the other side. Feel those rear deltoids, the backs of the shoulders working to lift the arms. Keep the lower belly lifted. Back of the neck is long. Little squeeze of those shoulder blades together. Now press the palms towards one another. Arms back out to the sides. Now imagine you're squeezing a beach ball in between those palms. Feel those triceps active. Really lengthen long through those fingertips to feel those triceps working even harder. And last 4, 3, 2, and 1. Interlace those fingers behind the back, or you can grab a belt or strap, slowly peeling the chest up. If you want to go deeper into the stretch, walk your left foot forwards. Let those hips sink a little deeper. But we don't want to drop so low that we're no longer engaging our core. So we want to create that zipper effect of the lower abs to support the lower back. Deep breaths. Inhaling in through the nose, exhaling out through the mouth. Releasing that stretch. Take the left hand to the outside of the left hip. Right arm sweeps up and over. You can always prop your hand up onto a book or a block if you feel the floor is too low. And we come back to center. Make sure that left knee is over the left heel. We're pushing into the right toenails to lift the right knee up. So we're keeping the right toes pointed for this one. We're not going to tuck them under. This allows us to go a little deeper into that hip flexor stretch. Keeping the back of the neck long, deep breaths. And we release the right knee down. Walk the left foot over to the right side of the mat, bending that knee in pigeon. You can take a block or a pillow under that left hip. To take away the intensity of the stretch, pull the left heel closer to the right hip. To increase the intensity, you can move that foot up. Also, staying up is going to decrease that intensity. The lower you go, the more intense the stretch gets. So when you're ready, you can go ahead and fold forwards. We breathe here, inhaling in through the nose, exhaling out through the mouth. And both sides of the body are completely different. So you might feel one side is much tighter than the other. So try not to force that side that's tight. Just meet your edge, but don't go past it. And breathe. And if you're ready to sink a little lower, you can stretch those arms, connect to your breath. And slowly coming back up to center. And we're going to take that left knee back to meet our right. And we'll come into plank. Little press of the shoulder blades up towards the ceiling. Back of the neck is long, legs are long. Lengthening the tailbone to the backs of the knees. Feel those lower abs zipping up here. Deep breaths. And we're going to pike those hips up towards the ceiling. Coming into your downward facing dog or elephant pose. And then as you shift forward, you're going to take your right foot in between the left hand and left foot as you draw your chest forwards. Let the right hip come down towards the floor. Keep lengthening through the chest. So we're getting a nice stretch on the IT band. And we're also working those arms because it's really hard to hold your body in this shape. And we're switching sides. Take that right foot back to meet the left, downward facing dog. As you shift forwards into plank, taking that left leg directly out to the side in between the right hand and right foot. As you drop the hips down, lift your chest up and breathe. Allowing gravity to do the work of releasing those left hip muscles and lower back muscles. Also your lateral muscles on the left side of your back. And we slowly come back, downward facing dog. And you are done.